Hi, Marriage Monday here again, guys, and welcome to our nest. So now, as you can see, we are in HD, so you can see our full beauty or ugliness.
Beauty, ugliness.
No. Yeah, so welcome to our new HD stuff, so that's pretty cool. That's pretty exciting stuff for Christmas. So today we're going to be talking about a word that we should not use. It's a really scary, bad word. It's the D word.
And we are not allowed to say this.
In marriage, anyways.
In our marriage.
Yeah.
And in our family.
And in our family, it's just a bad word. And we're not talking about any type of profanity. It's the divorce word.
Divorce.
Yeah, that's a terrible word. So that is a word that we decided as a family to steer away from because I don't want my family to be broken up ever. So in 2009 was when we decided not to do anything like that, because that was when my wife and we had probably the worst argument we've ever had. It was to the point where she had left to her parents' house, and it was all the result of me hanging around with the wrong people. This was all BC, and doing the wrong things. I just wasn't focused on what I should be focused on as a father and a husband. So in that, and just the whole mixture of everything that was going on, it just like we were falling apart. And so what we decided,
were falling out of love.
Yeah, supposedly. And it was by choice. It was just issues that we were having with each other and ourselves. And that night, she had left her parents. I was home alone. It was the worst feeling ever because it was just a nightmare. This was before we had our second child. We just had our one, and I feel terrible that she was even subject to anything like that. And sitting there, I was thinking about the fact that I grew up in a home that was broken. So I grew up in a split custody situation. So I had to go from one house to another on the weekends. It was just like, it was a nightmare as a child. It was something that kids should never have to go with. And all these days in our culture, people say it's okay because it's just, yeah, kids are fine, they'll get over it, because, it's just, I'm not happy, so I don't want my son to have to live in a house where I'm not happy. So I'd rather them go from house to house, and that's just what happened. And for me, it was terrible because I still don't have an actual sense of real family outside of my own family that I've created here. It's really strange. I feel like I'm kind of left out, but I'm not on one side or the other, which really sucks. So.
But I love you.
Yeah. But it does suck. But it's something that in Christmas time I remember one year where I had to choose which family I had to go to. They're like, okay, Christopher, where do you want to go for Christmas? And both sides are looking at me. And I think I was 7 or 8 years old, and it was the most heart-wrenching, worst decision I think I've ever made. And I didn't know what to do. I know it's just, as small as Christmas, but it's like choosing from one family or the other. It was terrible.
Well, being 7 years old,
yeah,
that's like Evelyn choosing between you and I. I can't even imagine that.
It was bad. It's something that I didn't want to do. And so just thinking about that when we were having that argument and me being all alone there in the house, I had to call her and do everything I could to get my wife back in my house and back in my arms. And we talked a lot about the fact that night that divorce was never going to happen again. It was never going to come up. It was never going to be no splitting up, no nothing like that.
No breaks.
No breaks. We need to work through everything we have. If there's an issue, we need to sit down and talk about it and figure it out. And that's exactly what we've done in our marriage. And that's exactly what everybody else should do. They just sit down, figure it out. Don't be afraid to say anything.
Yeah.
Lay it all out there on the table because it's better said than not.
Right.
Everything will work out better that way if you're just honest. It definitely has. We're coming up on our 9-year anniversary now, and we're more in love than ever. If I would have lost her at that point, man, that would have been the worst feeling ever.
Wait, no.
This is a sad video because I'm starting to almost cry now.
Oh.
I love my family, so.
But do you guys remember this last video that we said that love was a choice and the way to stay married is forgiveness? After that happened in 2009, guess what we had to do to continue our marriage?
Keep working on it.
Yeah, we chose to love each other and we chose to forgive one another, and that's why we've been able to stay married this long, and by God's grace, I hope that we're able to stay married until we die.
Always work hard towards it.
And that brings me to this Bible verse right here. So if you guys read your word in Matthew 19, it's all about divorce. And before that, I think in Malachi, it talks about how God hates divorce. Okay, and we don't want to take the word of God out of context, so I'm going to explain to you guys a little bit what happened in Matthew. So 19, the Pharisees, they heard Jesus talking, the Pharisees came, and the Pharisees never wanted to know an answer. They just were asking questions to get Jesus to say something wrong, you know? And so they came up with this, and they said, why then, they asked, and we're reading Matthew 19, 7, and 8, and 9. So the Pharisees came up to Jesus and said, why then, they asked, did Moses command that a man give his wife a certificate of divorce and then send her away? Jesus replied, Moses permitted you to divorce your wives because your hearts were hard. There's no forgiveness there. That is why. But it was not this way from the beginning when God created marriage, Adam and Eve. I tell you that anyone who divorces his wife, except for sexual immorality, and marries another woman commits adultery.
Ouch.
Yeah, that's really rough. And this topic is so broad and big that just alone saying that wouldn't be it's not suffice. But just looking at this Bible verse, we realize that Jesus said, I never intended marriage for divorce to be part of marriage from the beginning. That's not how it was created. But out of the hardness of our hearts, we choose to give a letter of divorce to our husband or our wife because we're not willing to forgive, right? And there's one exception. Sexual immorality, adultery, fornication. If I were to cheat on Chris, you know, if he chose not to forgive me out of the hardness of his heart, then, you know, that's his personal thing. If it's something he struggled too much with, he has the right to divorce me, or vice versa. I can't just be like, you know, I'm falling out of love with you and we're just gonna get a divorce because I can't handle how you snore at night, or you don't know how to save money, like dumb things I've heard, you know. So I want you guys to understand that there is not an escape clause to divorce, but if you read your word, that is literally the only thing.
Or death.
Or death, right.
Death, yes.
Death. But I'm talking about while you're living.
Oh, yes.
Because a widow is also allowed to remarry as long as the man is a man of God. And I think that is an orc. I guess the reason we want to make this video is because I told my husband this morning, what are we going to talk about? And we wanted to get some ideas, but I told my husband, I really feel like we should be transparent. And I don't want anyone to ever look at our videos and be like, oh, they're so perfect and I want a marriage like them. You guys need to understand that our marriage isn't perfect. Don't over romanticize anyone's marriage. You don't know the truth because you don't live with us. In 2009, that was probably the worst and the last time that anything like that ever happened, really. And we strive every day to not let that happen again.
We still disagree all the time.
Right.
Yeah, it definitely happens. I mean, that's just part of life. Definitely disagree on a lot of things, but I mean, it's nothing that's going to break a marriage. Okay.
Right.
It's disagreements.
Correct.
But, yeah, I think today was kind of short and sweet. Definitely stay married, stay in love, and keep choosing to stay in love.
And to forgive.
And forgive. All right. Want to say bye, guys.
Bye.